we're going to take, hold on, what was that? All right, folks, let's just take a little roll here real quick. Right, so those two people are clearly right. Okay, so we have D'Angelo, Hanifa, Jaden, Jaziri, Josiah, Jolie, Kiona, Liam, Noah, Nyla, Azia. Okay, cool. That's 12 people. I'm cool with that. 2, 4, 6, 8. What? 10 people. All right. Folks, good evening. What's the date today? Anybody know? Today is the 30th of April. So we are officially here. As of tomorrow, you are in exam season. Right? Yeah, for some. I mean, oral stuff for some people, but like, I just call me as exams. You know. So, as you all can see, today is our last math class until Tuesday evening. Right now, of course, if any of you all don't do POA, which some of you all, and you all want to come 1 o'clock on the Tuesday, we could do that. Right? But I know some of you all have EDPM and French, TD, and HSB. So please do study for the things for which you need to study, and come to class when it is, well, when you need to. All right. Okay, when you're able to, whatever you want to say. All right. All right, so as you can see, we're trying to cram in 10 sessions or as many sessions as possible before the actual exam, right? I was going to put some math sessions on the weekend here after the POA, but again, I have plenty POA people who do maths too, and I'm not trying to burn anybody out before the first week even start, right? So, right, if anybody needs stuff to do over the weekend, I have past papers I could send you. We have replays, stuff, we could do that, right? But you have to communicate to me and give us some patience. Because as you can see, tomorrow I have our next 8-hour session. Yesterday, I had an 8-hour session, and it was rough because I was up from 2 o'clock yesterday morning. Because my 6-month-old got up, gave him to the mom to feed. Now, normally I could fall back asleep. Yesterday I could not. So by 3 o'clock, I was out of the bed, started work. And yeah, after 1 o'clock though, well, boy, it was pressure. So for the 1 to 3 session, I was falling asleep myself real bad. But I was able to rally for the last 4 hours. Anyhow, so the moral of the story is please don't play with your sleep. All right? Now, yeah, so today, even though we're late, I have just a few questions planned. 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, right? Now, these questions also build, they're in question 2, piece of question 2. They therefore deal with algebra and more specifically quadratic equations or expressions at least, right? This would also include, hold on, let me actually erase some stuff here because I don't want any spoilers. Yeah. I'm gonna see if the printer cooperates still. Yeah. And of course, we will end with the May 2024 question, which apparently was the big problem one last year that caused people to go into a tizzy. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Right. So let me see if the printer will cooperate. Well, I'm not gonna say I pressed print and I didn't want to open the dialog box, so that's not a good sign. But anyhow, let's see. The app doesn't support print preview, really. Right, so of course, for people online, you always have to look at the screen and follow one from there. Right, if you want, I could send pics in the chat. On my phone, the storage was an issue, and all of a sudden I have a new iOS. I know how that happened. Okay, I click print, and the dialog box still up, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Just give me a sec. What Wi-Fi am I on? Right, I'm on the correct Wi-Fi. All right, so while we're waiting to print, let's take a read. So quiet on the set, quiet on the set. Shh. Let me sound like a kind of big one. Right. So a farmer wishes to enclose a rectangular plot with a wire fence. Rectangular describes what kind of shape? A rectangle. Very good. Okay, the width of the plot is 3 meters less than the length. I want to highlight that. So first of all, we have a rectangular plot. Right? And then we have, let's use a different color for that one so we could refer to it a little more, right? The width of the plot is 3 meters less than its length. Now, So width is going across, length is going up and down, right? So if the width is 3 meters less than the length, it means that it is longer than it is wide. If you're not sure, think of a number. What's the easy number? 10? So imagine the length is 10. If the width is 3 meters less than 10, what number is that? What number? 7, right? 3 meters less than 10 meters is 7 meters. So imagine something 10 by 7, right? Okay, let me just pull the printouts for those in class. Misprint. Yeah, okay, I have 3 copies here. So I guess you might have to copy down from the screen. More finish, right? Yo. Open it. Just wait till the next reprint, but look and see, right? Right, yeah, guys. Okay, so we're back on the inside. Let's see. I'll put that. YouTube, Mekai. Hey, Mekai, how you doing? Oni, how you doing, Oni? Jaziri, sorry. You can just go by the print and just press OK on the bottom right hand side of the screen, the blue. It should be highlighted in blue. Just press OK for me. Thanks. Right. Okay. So with questions like this, a diagram would be nice. But of course, when you draw a diagram, it should look like what it's supposed to look like. What I mean by that is that we want a rectangle, right? But here's a question. Would it look like this? Or would it look more like this? Like the taller one, because it said the width is 3 meters less than the length. Right? Now you could actually draw it this way and label it correctly. But again, length to me has to do with vertical and width has to do with horizontal. But we could draw it the other way. So we'll do like this, right? Okay. So the width of the plot, which is going across, so width is here and length is here. So the width, hold on, let me see if it's just copies. Yeah. Did you give me 2? If you want, you can press the blue button and see if you get one. On the bottom right hand side of the screen, you'll see OK, let's press OK, and just hold on for like 10 seconds. Right. Azure, good evening, Azure. Yeah. Yeah, the printer literally decided to be bad, man. That's, okay, a slightly firm touch, right? Okay, that should be good. So let's hold on a couple seconds, right? Okay, so a farmer wishes to enclose a rectangular plot with a wire fence. The width of the plot is 3 meters less than the length. Okay, so check this. We want to turn that green statement into an algebraic statement, right? Yeah, that's okay. Just take one. The printer gave in trouble. Let's just take one and go and sit down. It's not a problem. Right. So here what I want you to do for me, right? So remember, if you're doing algebra and it's not giving trouble, you're having trouble understanding what they're telling you, right? Pick a number, an easy number. Let me just sit in Donovan here, real quick, and mark him present. Hey, Donovan, evening. Don't worry, we now start. Yeah, miss much. This is the Jan 2019 question, and we literally it just finished print. So yeah. But what we've seen is that it says a farmer wishes to enclose a rectangular plot with a wire fence. The width of the plot is 3 meters less than the length, and the length is L. Right? So this is the length, this is the width. Now, it says given that the area enclosed by the fence is 378 square meters, show that L squared, hold on, let me get a blue. right? L squared minus 3L minus 378 is equal to 0. Yeah, L squared. Oh, no. But you don't have a printout in front of you? I still look like a P. All right. Okay. So check this. This, hold on. I want that in a color too, right? Let me do that one in a light pink. Sorry, no. Okay, so the statement highlighted in pink says the area enclosed by the fence is 370. So area, right? Now what shape are we dealing with? Rectangle. What is the formula for the area of a rectangle? Length by width or by breadth, right? So the area of the rectangle is equal to length multiplied by width. All right? Sorry? Right. Now, the item in the blue is what they want us to get to, right? They want us to get there. Now, this has a 378. Are we seeing that number 378 anywhere else in the question? In the pink, it says that the area is 378, not so? So what they're telling us is that length multiplied by the width, correct, is equal to 378, right? Okay, now, what do we notice about the statement in the blue? How many different algebraic terms are there? Is there only one algebraic term? Are there two algebraic terms? There's one. What's the only letter inside of there? L, right? How many algebraic terms are here? Yeah, is that L? Yeah. Two, right? L and W. So here's a question. Is there some way we could convert W in terms of L or express W in terms of L? How so? The statement in the green, right? The statement in the green. The width of the plot is 3 meters less than the length, right? So, like I said, if that statement given trouble, imagine a simple number. Imagine length was 10. If the width is 3 meters less than the length, and we're just imagining for a second, just to simplify, that the length is 10, what would be the imaginary value, therefore, of the width? 7. 3 meters less than 10 is 7. But what did we do? What operation did we use to get the width if we knew the length? Subtraction, right? So what we know as well is that W, width, is equal to length minus how much? 3. So we could actually replace or substitute that W with the expression L minus 3. So we have now L multiplied by L minus 3. Sorry, let me just write that a little more clearly. That's equal to 378. Now, if we kind of remove the multiplication sign and just put L and the bracket here, how can we go about now simplifying that expression? How do we multiply the L on the outside, the coefficient, by the terms on the inside? Distributive, look, we multiply them. L by L will give us what? And L by minus 3 is minus 3L. And we have to get here in the blue. So what's the, sorry, I put 370, didn't I? So what's the only thing left to do? Bring across the 378, right? And if it was on this side as a positive term, we'll therefore have to do what? Subtract it. And when you subtract 378 from both sides, you're left with 0 on the right-hand side. Right? Stray kids, good evening. Stray kids, PUA was, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to go a little further, right? Yeah, we need the PUA was already done today. But I have PUA 10 to 12 and 1 to 3 for the rest of the week. So tomorrow is errors, Friday is budget, Saturday is stock valuation, Sunday is PUA. Right? Yeah, Ari, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, Stray Kids, actually, if you go on the YouTube channel right now and check the live, you'll see live. I was finishing Markrex. So you could pair it with Mondays. No problem. Right. So in class, people, are we okay with how I did what I did? Does anybody have any questions? Anybody to re-explain anything? Hanifa, Khalifa, Jolie, and Kiona. We okay with that? Yeah? Okay, RC people, we good with that? Right. CIC, St. Anthony's, and HJC, we good? Was that all right? You're locking in. That's the locking one. All right. Okay, Google Meet. You know the drill, right? The Angelo, Donovan, Liam. If you're good with that, give me a quick Genie chat. Okay. Right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go a little step further, right? Yeah, sure. been doing, so some of them have been working with Mishka. I haven't been working with the other kids. Right? And we've been doing some quadratics and factorizing that kind of stuff, right? Now, this number 378 is a kind of biggish number. I mean, relative to stuff like even 72, it's still bigger than 72. So we have something called the quadratic formula that we didn't get to use just yet, but I want to show you all how to use it now. All right. Now, of course, if anybody wants to try their hand at factorizing, please feel free. Right? You can have some fun with that. Now, right, the quadratic formula. So there is a formula that you can use to solve quadratic equations. Even if you can factorize, you can still use the formula. But especially where it cannot factorize, the formula will help you to solve, right? So the quadratic formula. All right, cool. Now, sorry. So we know that the generic form, or one of the generic forms of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is 0. There's a formula that will give us x, right? So most of you all should know this formula, eh? And it's on the formula sheet, in case you forget. Right? So we have x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by, very good, 2a. Right? Where the values of a, b, and c are simply taken from the quadratic, right? Now, as you can see here, a is the coefficient of the x squared term, not so? Right. What is our coefficient of x squared here? Oh, sorry, not x squared. We do have x. What's the coefficient of the squared term? Is there any number in front of it? Well, no number is explicit, so 1 is understood. Very good. So the value of a here would be equal to 1. B is the coefficient of the term to the power 1, the x term. What's the number coefficient of L? Really, come on, a little late. So just give me a few minutes, right? Minus 3, right? And c is the constant, the term independent of x, the term to which no algebraic term is attached. So the value of c here is equal to minus 378. Right. Hey, Ty, how are you doing? Israel, evening, how are you doing? Right. So what you will do is you will take those values of a, b, and c and substitute them inside of that formula down there. And what I would then suggest is use your calculator, right? And solve. Now, some of the newer calculators can actually, if you know how to plug in the values, they could solve the quadratic for you. All right? I didn't see the message, sorry. Right, so if b is minus 3, we're going to be doing minus 3, which of course will turn to positive, right? And then we have the square root of, so b squared, that's minus 3 squared, minus 4 by a, which is 1. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. All right, so 4 by a by c, which is minus 378, yeah? All over 2a. Right? So for most people, the most stressful part is the initial substitution. Right? After you do that, you should ask, even how you're doing. I know a girl with that name from like 30 years ago. Holy crap, how old? Yeah, it was in the mid-1990s, yeah. We do taekwondo together by Master Jung in Woodbrook. Right. So when you have minus, minus 3 becomes positive 3, right? The plus and minus is because every square has 2 roots. Remember, when you square something, what are you actually doing? Correct. So if you square a positive term, you're multiplying a positive term by a positive, which will give us back a positive. If you square a negative term, you multiply a negative by a negative, which will also give us a positive. So when you find the square root of a number, you're supposed to consider 2 possible values, the positive root and the negative root. Right. So now, when you have minus 3 squared, that's going to give us positive 9. Now, minus 4 by 1 it's just minus 4. But when they multiply minus 4 by minus 378, a minus by a minus, as we just saw, is a, so that's 1200 plus 280. That's 1480 and 32, 1512. Anybody? All right, cool. Pull it apart. You all know how I did that, right? All right. Right, so minus 4 by 1 is minus 4. But when they multiply that by minus 378, right? So in case you're curious as to how to do the mental maths, right? So this is 4 by 378, yeah? No, this is not something you have to do. I'm just showing you all, just to show you how it's not super hard or impossible, right? Do you agree that 378 is literally 300 plus 70 plus 8? Right. So what we could do now, use distributive law. Just like how we multiply the L by the L and the minus 3 in the bracket, you can multiply that 4 by each of those. What's 4 by 300? What's 4 by 3? 12. So 4 by 300 is what? 1200. What's 4 by 70? What's 4 by 7? 28. And you add a 0. So you get 280. And what's 4 by 8? 32. So 0 and 0 and 2 is 2. 8 and 3 is 11. Carry the 1. That's 15. Oh, sorry, 1512, my bad. Right? So mental mathematics and calculations doesn't have to be the realm of impossibility, right? But it's like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. And if you don't exercise it, it doesn't get any stronger, right? But to be fair, there are different ways you can exercise your mind. There are many different ways to do so, right? Mathematics is but one. Okay. Now again, I'm simply showing all these steps in the working here for illustrative purposes, right? 15 plus that will simply give us 1521, I believe. Right? Now, remember we're solving for a value of L, right? Where L is the length of the rectangle. Here's my question, right? Can length be negative? Yeah. No, length can't be negative. You could subtract one length from another, sure, fine. But can you just have by itself a negative length? No, right? I mean, exactly. I mean, so when they're getting to talk like physics and you have antimatter and you have this much antimatter, we are going all in, right? We are going all in. So I don't know offhand what the square root of 1521 is. Square root of 1600 is 40. Is it 39? Square root of 1521? If it's 39. 39? Yeah. Right. Now, you know how I know? You know how I got that, by the way? I'll show you that trick too. All right. What number I said first? 1600, right? Why did I use 1600? Because 40 by 40 is 1600, right? But clearly 1600 is not 1521, right? To get from any square number to the next square, they have a simple thing to do. To get from any square to the next square, you have to add the number that you squared and the next number. So for example, if I want, what's 3 squared? 9. What's 4 squared? Okay. So if I started with 3 squared, which is 9, right? And I want to go to 4 squared, I have to add the original number and the next number. The original number being 3, the next number being 4. What's 9 plus 3? Yeah, 9 plus 3 is 12. 12 plus 4 is? What's 4 squared? Technically, if you did perfect squares, you know it already. I'll show you why. So I want to go from n squared, which is any number, to the square of the next number. So if I want to go from the square of 3, which is the n, to the next number, 4, that's n plus 1, right? So the next number, if the first number is n, the next number is n plus 1, right? If you actually square n plus 1, what we get is n squared plus 2n plus 1. Would you agree that 2n is n plus n? And if you group together n and plus 1, isn't n plus 1 just the next term after n? Yeah. So to get any, if you have a square number and you want the next square, you add the original square root, the next number after it, and you'll have that square. You want to try a different number? All right. What number you want to try? Number 1. So all your crash courses for subscribe only. Well, you had to pay for it here. Nayali, add maths. I had to get back to you. Nayali, if you have an email, email me. Right? I'll keep you updated on the add maths crash courses. Sorry, what number do you want? Not that big. In my easiest number. You want 18 squared? That should 24. Let me do 12. Let me do 8, right? What's 8 squared? What's 8 squared? 8 by 8 is 64. Okay. If I want to go to 9 squared and I don't know it, and let me just set up a calculator, but I know that 8 squared is 64, right? If I want to go to 9 squared, I could add 8 and then add 9, right? So 64, now you all know the shortcut to adding 9. You add 10 and then minus 1. So what's the shortcut for adding 8? Add 10 and then minus 2. So you can add 10 and minus 2, and then add 10 and minus 1. What's 64 plus 10? Don't rush at what? All right. Right, so 74, right? And what's 74 minus 2? Right. What's 72 plus 10? 8 and 82 minus 1 is 81. Right? And isn't 9 squared 81? Right. What class we in? Maths, not so? When is the exam? Next week, Friday? Don't remind you. You wake up in the morning and just realize maths exam is today. Anyhow, right. So you're looking for your calculator. Anyway, sorry. Right. So how I did the 39 squared is I knew 1521. I didn't know the square offhand if it had a perfect square, right? But I know to me, the nearest perfect square I know is 1600. And I know 1600 is 40 squared. So if I want to go backwards now, instead of adding the number and the number after, if I want to go backwards, what's the opposite of adding? Subtracting. So if I want to go backwards to 39, I'll minus 40 and then minus 39. So 1600 minus 40 is 1560. Sorry. And if I have 1560 and I want to minus 39, what's the easier way to do it? Minus 40 and add back 1. That'll give me 1520. I want to add back 1 more again. 1521. Again, I'm just showing you all some tricks here. You don't have to use any of them, but I'm just showing you math is a lot more flexible than you probably should. Right? It have lots of little bits and tricks here that I wish I could go through with you all, right? And I try my best to, but I know it might just seem kind of rushed, right? Anyhow, so long story short, the square root of 1521, if you have a calculator, just use a calculator, all right? But you know for the multiple choice, you don't have that choice, right? You have no calculator, which makes no sense, but okay. All right, so we have 3 plus or minus 39. But the reason I was asking, can we have negative length, is if we consider the negative root, wouldn't 3 minus 39 give us a negative value? Right, that would give us minus 36. And can we have negative length? No, right. So we could ignore the minus for now. Right, so we could go with 39, 3 plus 39, which is how much? Yeah. So we're going to have 42 over 2, which is 21. So the value of L is 21, which means that W is L minus 3, which is 18. And guess what 21 by 18 is? You have a very long multiplication. Yeah, look it up, it's fine. And what did the question tell us the area was equal to? 378. So we knew we have the correct answer. But this again, the question didn't ask us to find the value of L. All it did was it stopped at show that L squared minus 3L minus 378 is equal to 0. That's where it stopped, right? Don't give the question more than it asks for. You have, sorry, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to come about here. Right, oh yeah, we do actually need all this down here. We don't actually need any of this, to be honest, but like I said, you never know. Right? Wait, oh, right. Oh, lobster, did I answer your question? Yeah, the crash courses are paid. Yeah. Yeah, but when I say paid, like paid to actually attend, like online via the Google Meet. All right. Speaking of Google Meet, so D'Angelo, Donovan, and Liam, just give me a quick genie chat if you're good with what I currently have on the screen. Right, like I said, it was extra beyond what the question wanted, but I want to go a little beyond. Right? It's not like beyond the syllabus. Right? You're supposed to know how to do this, right? Okay. In class, people, are we okay with what's on the screen currently? Any questions? Anybody? Anything? Cool. Yeah, all right. You're gonna kind of feel called cooking. Well, you know that cartoon cooking is Cuqin, and the song is say cooking. It's on the margarine. And yeah, it's a little baby, right? And you have like, yeah, he have some older siblings, but when he vex, he's pull up the hoodie and stay vex. Yeah, actually good. Yeah, that's correct. Correct. Yeah. All right. All right. That's correct. Yes. Right. Which is cool because I mean imagine you were like in work or in an office or even at home. You could Google something, not so? Right. Or what? Let's give you quite a bit. This question here. I, I just copied the question. Whatever you want. That okay, hold on. Just the piece they wanted? Probably. Okay, the piece they wanted this was 3 marks. If you add that piece on, probably 5. All right, I'm gonna try to print this. I can't guarantee. Actually, it's not going to work. But anyhow, hold on. It's will work. Huh? It will work. Oh. It will reach you. It will reach. It will reach. Grab a paper. It's called focus. Okay. Yeah. How many copies you put there? I put 10, didn't I? Jumbi. Ari, but so we can't use that and put it into the equation and answer, right? Because that one from 10 to 9 to I put it back to 10 just now. I know. Ari. Oh no, right. So yeah, so Ari, in the previous question, all they wanted was to end right here. That was all they wanted. I went a little further because I wanted to work the quadratic formula. All right. Okay, let me see if it prints. While we wait for that, let's take a read on the screen. It's quite visible, it's quite legible. Let's take a look, right? Diagram. So this is Jan 2023, a second part, because there was a previous part, which is a basic factorization and a simplification, right? And they brought something like this in Jan 2025. It was very, very similar, right? So they don't repeat exact questions. It's very, very unlikely. They are very close questions sometimes, right? Okay, because when you substitute the value, you get 32. Which value is talking about? The 21 and the 18? These two? They multiply them together. We get 378. Check it. All right. Anybody willing to go and press OK on it? The furthest person from it. Yes. 21 by 18 could never get 32. Check that again. Check it. All right. All right. So the diagram below shows two rectangles. We have two rectangles now, M and N. I don't know why they're given different names, so they sound a little less similar, right? With the dimensions expressed in terms of x. The dimensions are length and width, right? So the length of M, right, is x minus 3, and the width is 3x plus 4. So clearly this one is wider than it is long. Come the man, Philip. Right, okay. Right, boss lady. Right. And then the second rectangle, n, right, has x minus 3, but x plus 2. Now, if you notice, this width and this length and this width are the same. They both are x minus 3, right? So technically speaking, if you just rotate this and put it here, it'll look kind of like that, right? You can actually rest it on top and it might fall somewhere here. Right. Oh, sorry, 21 squared minus not 0. When you say minus, why use it? You mean no, hold on, just now. I now understand what you're saying. Right. So what we're saying it will be 21 squared minus 3 by 21 minus 378. So you're saying that that's 32? All right, let me check it. Let me check it. Sorry guys, somebody just saying that it's not working back. 21 squared minus 3 by 21 minus 378. Yep, I get 0. Have you committed composite? You mean coordinate geometry, Sana? Yeah, we did coordinate geometry a few weeks ago, but on my channel, I have it as a live save. It's about 3 or 4 of them. All right. Okay. Sorry, we back here. We back here. Right. So, check what it tells us down here. Given that the difference between the areas of the two rectangles is 64 centimeters squared, show that x squared minus 2x minus 35 is equal to 0. Oh, you did 18. Oh, pressure. All right. Okay. Well, at least we figure it out, right? Okay. So they want us to show the statement highlighted in green. Okay. Now it says that the difference between the areas of the two rectangles. So what we're saying is that the area of M minus the area of N. So clearly M is the bigger rectangle, right, than N. Right, so area of M is minus the area of M. And the difference is how much? 64. Right, 64 square centimeters. Okay, how do we find the area of a rectangle? What's the formula? Length by width, length by breadth. Okay, so for M, what would be the two things that we multiply to find the area for M? Right, the items boxed off in the pink, right? That's the length and the breadth. So for the area of M, we have x minus 3 multiplied by 3x plus 4. And for the area of N, what would be the two items we multiplied? Transformation, no, we didn't do it yet. I have it on the agenda. I can't tell you exactly when, but it's somewhere between Tuesday evening next week and Wednesday and Thursday. Anybody? What are the two things we multiply to find the area of N? Yeah? Right, x minus 3 and x plus 2. Right, so that's equal to 64. Okay, so do we remember how to expand the these two brackets? Or we multiply. Let's do the one to the back first, right? But well, this one here. So when you multiply that, how would you do so? X by x would give us x by 2 would give us minus 3 by x would give us, and then minus 3 by 2 would give us. Sorry, you're correct. Minus 6. My bad. And when you simplify that, 2x minus 3x is what? Minus x. 2 minus 3 is minus 1, right? Okay, so now that I've done this one for you, please do this one. Will do. Yes, Anna. I will tell it to email, but apparently my phone kick off the Gmail app, which is my app, my email for work, because apparently my phone running out of storage. But somehow I downloaded a new iOS. Confused. Yeah. Right. Minus 35 equal to 0. All right, so tell me what you get here then. Right, so x by 3x will give us 3x squared. Then x by 4 will give us, huh? X by 4 is 4x. Okay. And then minus 3 by 3x is minus 9x. And minus 3 by 4 is minus 12, yeah? Okay. So when you simplify 4x minus 9x in the middle, what do we get? You keep saying 12x, but 4 minus 9 is minus 5. All right. Right, so here now, what we're going to do next, we're going to drop the bracket. So when you drop your brackets, what do we get? 3x squared minus 5x minus 12. But here you're minusing this. Now, you can apply that minus sign to each term on the inside. You're minusing everything in the bracket. So you could do minus x squared. You could do minus x. But when you're minus a minus, what do you get? A plus, right? You could group group like terms. That's coming up. And when you're minus 6, what do we get? We get plus 6. Right? And as a prodigy said, we have to group the like terms. So what I want you to do is put all the x squareds together, all the x's together, and all the constants together, right? But when you're shifting around things on the same side of the equation, signs don't change, yeah? Right? So, for example, when you put the x squared terms together, it'll be 3x squared minus x squared. The x terms, it'll be minus 5x plus x. And the constants, it'll be minus 12 plus 6. And if you want to take in front, you could actually bring across the 64 one time by subtracting it. Hold on. Are you okay with expanding this to get that? Right. So now we have this minus this, right? Now when you drop the brackets, nothing inside the first bracket changes, right? But because you're minusing this, you're minusing everything in the bracket. Another way to consider it is you have like a minus 1 in front. So you have to multiply minus 1 by everything. And when you multiply a minus by anything, it changes the sign. So you're going to get minus x squared. You're going to get minus x. But when you minus x, you get what? Plus x. And then when you minus 6, you get plus 6. That seems to be the sticking point. Right, so what I did is I grouped together the like terms. So I put the 3x squared and the minus x squared together. Then I put minus 5x and x plus x together. And then I put minus 12 and the 6 together. And then I brought across the 64 from the right-hand side to the left-hand side by subtracting it from both sides. Minus 5x and plus x are both x terms. So all we do is we put in the like terms. So the terms are... Which one? Well, yeah, hold on. So this is minus 5 and a plus 1, right? So if you have minus 5 and plus 1, was the raw difference between 5 and 1? 5 minus 1 is how much? Right. But because we have a bigger negative than positive, right? You get minus 4x. Right? Here you have 3x squared minus 1x squared. What's 3 minus 1? 2. You have 2x squared. Now minus 12 plus 6 is minus 6. And minus 6 minus 64. Right? Oh, very good. April. Right. So because these are two negative terms, you add them together and put back the minus sign. So you get minus 70. Now, we reach here, but we're not done because remember, they want us to show it in the green. X squared minus 2x minus 35 equal to 0. So we have a 2x squared, a 4x, and a 70. So here we could reduce we could factorize or reduce by dividing by 2, right? So we could divide throughout the equation by 2. So what's 2x squared divided by 2? X squared. What's minus 4x divided by 2? Minus 2x. And 70 divided by 2 will give us 35. And is that what the question wanted us to show? Yes. Right. So for extra points, what I want you to do is I want you to go further and solve for x. And you can factorize. Right. So Fiona, talk to me. right, hold on. All right. So you said you were okay up to this line here. Yes or no? Yes, okay. All right. So you're okay with how we got the quadratics in the brackets, right? Okay. So now what I'm saying is that we have this item minus this item here. So we have to drop the brackets. When you drop the brackets, nothing in the first quadratic changes. But we're minusing this entire quadratic. But to do so, you have to minus each term in the quadratic. So when you minus x squared, you just get minus x squared. When you minus minus x, when you minus a minus, it becomes a plus. Or when you minus minus 6, it becomes plus 6. Right. The next step is you want to put all of the similar terms or like terms together. So you want to put all the x squareds together. That's how we get that. Right. Then we want to put all the x's together. And then we're going to put all the constants together. And as a little extra, I brought across the 64 one time, so we end up equal to 0. Right, okay. Right, so 3x squared minus x squared, that's like a 3 minus a 1. And 3 minus 1 is 2. Here you have minus 5 plus 1, right? So if you think of your number line, if you have minus 5 and you have to add 1, when you add, you go once, you go into the right. And if we add in 1, we go into the right one space. Right? So minus 5 plus 1 is equal to minus 4. If you owe somebody $5 and they pay them back 1, how much money you have left for them? If you owe somebody $5 and they pay, yeah, right. So when you owe somebody money, you have negative money, right? If you pay them back $1, you owe them less money now, right? So you're less, you are less in the, you are now no longer in as much debt, right? So that's, so think of negative numbers like debt. So minus 5 is I have $5 for somebody. Plus 1 means I get them back $1. So minus 5 plus 1 will give us minus 4. Right? If it was, let's say it was minus 5 and you pay them 7, you pay them back 7. So now, not only have you paid them back the 5 you owe them, you pay them 2 extra. Not so? So you're actually going to have positive 2 here. And minus 5 plus 7 is the same as 7 minus 5. And 7 minus 5 is 2. You sure? It takes some time for it to sink in. But again, if it helps, what you could, like I said, what you could do, think of negative numbers as when you borrow money from people, and positive one is when you pay them back. So if you owed somebody $5 and they borrow 5 more, how much you have for them now? If you borrowed 5 from somebody and you borrow 5 more, how much you have for them now? 10. So when you borrow money, that was minus 5. If you borrow 5 more, that's minus 5 more. So minus 5 plus our next minus 5 is minus 10. Right? When you pay them back, let me say you had $10 for them. So you have minus $10. But if you now put, let me say $7, you pay them 7. Right? So minus 10 plus 7, now you have 3 left for them. Right? Okay. Right, sorry. Oh, good. I'm missing some comments on the side here. So teachers' ratios, translations, vectors, variance, circle theorem, please. Ratios. Right. If you go on my channel, YouTube channel, you will find variance from January. I did variance in January, so you'll find some lives there. Circle theorem was in October, November last year, 2024. Vectors, I did vectors in October, September, October, somewhere there. I did matrices first. Vectors was next. Then I did circle theorem. Circle theorem might have been like mid to late October. Right? Your ratios and translations. I have to do translations still. Right? So you might see that coming up. Right? Ratios, okay, no problem. Can I make a wrap out of this? That's a good question, Faisal. I wonder, boy. Let me put that pin and circle back to that. That might be it. Because I saw a guy on TikTok who teaches chem. He was rapping about the chem with diagrams and things. It was actually pretty cool. Well, it was very well produced. Yeah, and Abe Prodigy, if you don't find them, then message me. If you have an email, just email me. You had to tell me your name or this is A Prodigy from TikTok, right? Okay. Okay. All right. So Donovan, D'Angelo, and Liam, if you guys are good with what I have here so far, just give me a quick Genie chat, please, right? Because this was as far as they wanted it to go. All right. All right. Any more question? Did anybody solve the equation for the value of x? What we get? Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Right. Right. So do we remember how to factorize? Let's do the long version, right? So I put in green for the stuff that is beyond what the question is asking for, right? So we want to split the middle term into two numbers, right? So those two numbers as coefficients of x have to add back to give us minus 2 and also have to multiply together to give us 35, right? So what we could ask ourselves is, what are the factors of 35? Now 35 is a nice number because you only have two sets of factors. 1 by 35, and because it ends in a 5, we know it's a multiple of 5, so 5 is a factor. And 5 goes into 35 how many times? Very good. A Prodigy boy, what? You're good. All right. Now it's a negative 35, isn't it? So we need one factor in each pair to be negative, one positive. How do we tell? The sign of the middle term is the sign of the larger factor. And the smaller factor, therefore, has the opposite sign. I never. Well, I just use my. All right. That was way easier. Sometimes. Sorry. Thank you. Okay. All right. So you can put x squared. Now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you put the 5x first or the minus 7x first. The next step. Now, we're doing this to facilitate what we call factorization by grouping. So we're going to group two pairs of terms and factorize each pair. Now, I want you to watch what's going to happen here because there was a shortcut to this question. What? Yep. And the shortcut has to do, it has to do with something we're about to do. All right? So if we look at x squared and 5x, what's the common factor? X. If you pull out x as the common factor and we divide, what's x squared divided by x? X. What's 5 divided by x? 5. Okay, good. Now between minus 7x and minus 35, you can put minus 7 as the common factor. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 7x divided by 7 is x. Very good. And minus 35 divided by minus 7 is positive 5. Good. Now, this is the part I wanted to watch. We are multiplying x by this bracket and minus 7 by that bracket, not so? Is the bracket the same? So if the bracket is the same, we could use that entire bracket now as the factor. So you could pull the bracket in the front and put this behind, not so? Now this is equal to 0. Oh, hold on, let me finish this, right? But what I did just now by using the bracket as the common factor, that will give us a shortcut, right? Right. Very good. Right. Now, watch me here. You know, watch your maths. Right. Now, what's the understood operation between the two brackets? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Multiply. So we are multiplying two things and we're getting 0 as the answer. The only way to multiply and get 0 is to multiply by 0. Now, because x is a variable, its value can change, it can vary, we need to consider each of the brackets equal to 0. Because either 0 by this will give us 0, or 0 by that will give us 0. So we literally say either, or if you prefer either. Like also we say prefer or prefer. I ask them, what do you prefer? You say between you and me, I prefer. I say, okay. Yeah. So either x plus 5 is equal to 0, or x minus 10 is equal to 0. Now, if x plus 5 is 0, x is clearly equal to minus 5. Now, but remember, what is x? X is a value here with the length. If we use a negative value, right, we'll get negative lengths, which can't work. So what we could say ignore this value or disregard, right? If we use minus 5 in the initial question with the shapes, right? Like here, we have x minus 3. If x is minus 5 minus 3 is minus 8. But how do you have minus 8 centimeters, right? So negative lengths are non-existent. So the solution that x is minus 5 is invalid in our situation. But if x minus 7 is 0, x had to be equal to what? 7. So 7 could work, not so? Yes. If you go back up to the top, right? 7 minus 3 is 4. 3 by 7 is 21. 21 plus 4 is 25. What's 4 by 25? 4 by 25 is 100, right? Cool. Across, so 7 minus 3 is the same 4, and 7 plus 2 is 9, right? And 4 by 9 is 36. So you have 36 here, and you have 100 here. And what is 100 minus 36? Not 64? And wasn't that what they told us? The difference between the areas is 64? It did, all right? Now again, the stuff in the green is where I went beyond what the question was asking, just to give you a little extra practice, right? Now, here's my question. Do you want to see the shortcut in the question? Okay. Now, like I said, the shortcut in the question had to do with using an entire bracket as a common factor. But you might be asking, well, Chris, when are we going to use that? I'll show you. Right? As a matter of fact, let me show you how much work it would actually cut out, right? Well, when I say we're going to have some working to do, obviously, but it's going to change how we approach it from right here. Right. So let me go back to the top. Here's my question. Between this product and this product, do you notice any common factors? Don't we have the same x minus 3 in both products? Right. So we could pull out x minus 3 as a common factor. And what would be left, if we take that out as a common factor, what are we left with? The 3x plus 4 minus the x plus 2, right? Now let's focus on the inside of the bracket. Here's my question. Do you understand what I just did? Right? I looked here and I looked here, and I saw in both cases I was multiplying by x minus 3. So in this case here and in this case here, there was a factor of x minus 3. So x minus 3 became a common factor. All right? So what I did, so just like across here, hold on, just like go back. Hey. Okay, hold on, I don't want to go back. So. All right, that's not, hold on. Let me try that again. Right, so like I was saying, so just like down here, where we had x plus 5 as the common factor, and when you pull it out, we were left with the coefficients collected in the back here. Right, so all that I did up here now was I took out the x minus 3 as the common factor, because in both cases it was being multiplied by an x bracket. We're on the screen. Right? We took out that as the common factor, and what we were left with was the other brackets. All right. Now again, you didn't have to do it this way. I'm showing you all in case it might spark something, right? Do you have video up on? It's got right. So what you want to look for there is income statement. I have a whole playlist with it. Right. So now, right? When I drop the brackets there, so the 3x plus 4 wouldn't change. But what about the x plus 2? I have to minus everything in the bracket. A minus an x and a minus an 2. Right? Now, just by the way, right? You could also consider it like you have a minus 1 here, and you're multiplying minus 1 by both of them on the inside, which of course is signs to change, right? Okay, so now, what's going on? Talk to me. What vibes? Hold on, just now. This equation into that, right? Okay, give me a second. X by that, right? So that's x squared plus 8x plus 16. That's x. So if it's equal, no, x is equal to minus 4. Because if x plus 4 is equal to 0, sorry.
Yeah. Say minus 4, not plus or minus.
Not plus or minus, no. No. Because x plus 4 squared is 0. Yeah. The only thing that would be 0 when you square it is 0. So x plus 4 is 0. The core is 0. So if you use any element, that's solve it. Correct. Iman. Or Iman. In math, there's more than one way usually to solve something. Right? Unless the question is specific into how they wanted to solve it. Right? Even if you don't follow the instructions, you shouldn't get it wrong with 0. Right? You might get all the marks awarded for it. Right? Right, sorry. So now in the bracket on the inside here, let's group together the like terms. So I have 3x and I have a minus x, and I have a 4 and a minus 2. What's 3x minus x? 2x, very good. And what's 4 minus 2? 2, right. We'll crop over? What's going on there? All right. Right. So now let's expand. X by 3x is what? 3x squared. X by minus 2 is minus 2x. Minus 3 by 3x is minus 9x. Minus 3 by minus 2 is a positive 6. And let's bring across the 64 by subtracting it from both sides of the equation, shall we? So we have 3x squared minus 2x minus 9x is minus 11x. Why does it seem wrong? Hold on. Yes, no. What did I do? Right, sorry, no. What's 3x minus x? Not 2x? That's an idiot. Right, sorry, thank you very much. And then what would happen is it have, right, then this is minus 6. My bad. Yeah, so clearly, this is 2x squared. Right, so we come back to the same point, and now we could divide everything by 2. Right? So we get x squared minus 3x minus, sorry, not 3x. Minus 2x as minus, so as minus 8x. Something's still wrong. Isn't it 5? What is wrong? Minus 2x. Isn't that minus 2? So, oh, this is a plus. I is an idiot again, boy. Jar Rastafari foot. Right. Minus 6, because that makes sense. Right. Sorry, guys. Clearly, my brain is shut off a minute there. X by 2x is 2x squared. X by 2 is plus 2. Minus 3 is minus 6, and then minus 6 again. Okay, cool. And then minus 2 plus 6 is minus 4. Right? Okay, yeah. We're back in business. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. My bad. I was wrong. It's not minus 8. Sorry, that was my bad. Right, so we get to the same point they want us to get to anyway. Take it. All right. Okay. So it was the same. It was just a different way to solve the same question. Right, to get to that point there. Right. Again, both of them look like about the same amount of work, eh? So it wasn't like it saved more time per se, but I think it did. It saved some work. All right. Here we're going on. I want to go to the 2024 question because I watch any time. All right. This is the question from last year's paper that people seem to have, they lost their minds over. Right? Somebody can just press OK on that, and then after you press OK, press the red X to cancel the remaining print, right? What's that? This one? You press X to cancel it? Press the X to cancel it. We don't need more of those questions. Yeah. Yep. That's okay. Minus from 1 or 2. That's all right. Once it hit, like, it kind of stopping. You was on a what? A big speaker? Okay. Right, you can pull that one out, so the rest is supposed to go. Basket boy. Right, it just went. Alright, we just waiting on it to, right? Especially on blessing eggs as is Easter. Rabbits cost extra. Yeah, just press OK. Yeah, sorry guys, it's the printer. Ask them if they're the one who pay in the holy water. Guys, just give me a minute, the printer is not cooperating. Ask them if it's that holy water in the toilet and they take a crap. It'll be holy shit. You still printing?
Like you try to kill me, but whoever had that number before, it's like, confession, get something. Don't want to try to
Somebody, my brother had people used to call him after the pet shop in Europe.
I think I know one.
Oh, you have that phone?
You see, when it takes too long to go on different days, give me a number, so you don't to me.
Okay.
And every time somebody call me, they come back and find my new number when they get to me.
How many you have there? Three? Right. So who getting then? All right, so just two more to come, right? All right. Who else missing? Oh, sorry. All right, guys, let's just take a read in the meantime, please, right? So, Khalifa, you can watch your screen as you're right there, right? Laura needs to put mesh around two seed beds to protect her seedlings. So what happened is, I think the people who designed the question assume that people know what mesh is and what a seed bed is. And I think a lot of people did not know, right? But even if it didn't know, read the rest of the question. Altogether, she uses 60 meters of mesh, right? So the mesh is like the fence. Right, so altogether she uses 60 meters of mesh. Now, I'll draw your attention to this word as well, right? Around. So we have two shapes there. The first seed bed and the second seed bed. What's the first shape? That's correct. A rectangle, that's the first shape. What's the second shape? It looked like a square. Right. Now you're putting mesh or fencing around them. So you're putting fencing around here and around here as well, right? What do we call the distance around the edge of a shape? The perimeter, right? Or perimeter, right? So if we put fencing around a rectangle and around the square, it means that we put fence around the perimeter of the rectangle and the perimeter of the square. And in total, how much mesh did we use? What 60 meters. So this is the part that they miss out. The sum of the perimeters is 60. So the perimeter of the rectangle plus the perimeter of the square is equal to 60. All right. Now, let's continue with it. Right. Everybody have a copy? All right. The width of the rectangular seedbed is x meters. We could see that here. Well, I would call that the length, but whatever, right? And then they tell us thereafter that the length of the rectangular seedbed is 3 times the width. Okay, if the width is x and the length is 3 times that, what is 3 times x? 3x. So the length here is 3x. Are we okay with that? Okay, cool. And then they tell us that the length of a side of the square is y meters. Cool, okay. Now it says, using the information given above, derive a simplified expression for y in terms of x. And this is where it all fell apart. Even if they read the question and say, okay, good. Perimeter, perimeter. What is this y in terms of x? Okay. So they want y in terms of x. So at the very least, you should say, okay, they want y equal to something with x, right? Okay. Now, what is y? The length of one side of the square. What is x? Well, x is the length or the width of the seedbed, right? Okay. Now, what did it start off by telling us? They started off by telling us something about the mesh around the total, the edge and the total mesh is 60. And we surmised, right, that the sum of the perimeters is 60, right? So the sum of the perimeters is equal to 60 meters. Right, so the question was, are they using the curve for CSEC? They say they don't, huh? Say that's a hitting people so much. So, hello? For the volume? If they don't use the curve, I'm not sure what else they do, because if they have specific percentages, they never said. It's either you use a curve, which to me is the fair thing, or you use specific percentages. I don't know what else they could do. Right? Who knows? They move in mysterious ways. They're like God. I don't know. They fancy themselves as gods, as far as I'm concerned. Right. Okay. So check it. That pink statement there, the sum of the perimeters is 60. Let's dig into that. Yeah. Sorry. No, sorry. This one here. As I read, okay. The red statement, the sum of the perimeters is 60. So what we're saying there is that the perimeter of the rectangle plus the perimeter of the square is equal to 60. Are we okay with that? Anybody not okay with it? Right. Volume low. Okay, that's strange. 1 second, let's see. Yep. Okay. Right, Miguel, let me know if that's any better. The software just throttled me down to like 6 out of 100. I don't know why. Okay. All right. So for the rectangle, right? How will we find the perimeter of the rectangle? The sum of the distance around the edges, right? So you have 3x on top of there. The opposite side is also 3x. And then if you have x there, this is also x. Not so? So what would be correct? The expression, how would you work out the area? 3x plus x plus 3x plus x. Not so? So for the rectangle, yeah? Length plus breadth by 2, yeah. So 3x plus x by 2. Right? All right. Well, you're gone. All right, yeah. That's it for the week, or you come back? Oh, yeah, tomorrow. All right. Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right. Okay. Let's add the 3x together with the x. That's correct, yeah. Very good. Where did you get the plus 2 from? Plus 2? Plus 2? Plus 2. Mean multiply by 2? Yeah, what he was saying is that, like, if you have 3x plus x and 3x plus x, you have two of them. Right. Okay, so all in all, how many x's we have? 3x plus x is 4x, right? And you have two sets of that. So you have 8x and all. Now, the square, how do we find the perimeter of the square? It's simply just you add up. So you have y plus, welcome the man Philip to do that. Right. So y plus y plus y plus y, or just 4 multiplied by the edge, right? So that's 4. So y plus y plus y plus y. So since exam will be easier since a lot of the last year. Ricky, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. CXC is as transparent as a brick wall. Right. So now we have an expression, an equation rather, with x and y, connecting x and y. So if they want, using the information, will derive a simplified expression for y in terms of x. So what they want us to do is make y the subject of the formula. Okay, so we have 4y plus x plus 8x equal to 60. So how do we make y the subject of the formula here? First thing we do is move the 8x. What operation we would use? Correct. We subtract that. Very good. And then we would divide by 4 because you're multiplying by 4 here. To remove or undo multiplication by 4, we use the opposite operation, which is division, right? And of course, whatever happens on one side of an equation must happen on the next side. So what we will do is we'll divide each term on this side by 4, right? So 60 divided by 4 is 15, and 8 divided by 4 is actually 2x. That there is your answer. Yes. Yeah, so Mecca, you were close. Hey, David, how you doing? Work in progress. Yeah. Oh. Right. In class, people, are we okay with part A to the question? If anybody's with a re-explain, let me know. Google Meet as you too, eh? Donovan, DeAndre, Liam. If you guys are good, give me a G. If you need me to re-explain, give me an R. It's not, I know it's 20 past 8, but we have 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes. We can use them. Okay? Right. Ladies, we okay with that? Okay. Fellas, we okay with that? Right. Right. So I added the 8x on this side, right? So to move it, I have to do the opposite. And the opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'll subtract 8x on both sides. Right? So I'll literally minus it from here and from here. On this side, it'll cancel, leaving us with just the 4y. Okay. That's the first piece. The next piece says, use this information and your answer. Hold on, what information? Sorry. No problems. Extra. This is the May 2024 Maths Paper 2. Pretty cool. All right. Yeah, May 2024. That's correct. All right. So it says here, let's put this in a different color. Orange, lavender. And I put the emphasis on the right syllables. Right. So the area of the rectangular seedbed is equal to the area of the square seedbed. Use this information and your answer in A to write down a quadratic equation in terms of x and show that it simplifies to that. Right? So the answer we got, so let me go back on top, right? So the answer we got was that y was equal to what? 15 to minus 2x. Right. Now, how do we find the area of a rectangle? Length by breadth. How do you find the area of a square? Side by side or side squared. So what it's saying is that the area of this rectangle is equal to the area of the square. Okay. So area rectangle is equal to area square. So we saw that the rectangle was length by breadth. So that was 3x by x. And the square was y by y. What's 3x by x? And y by y is? And we know y is equal to? Sub that inside of there. And when you're squaring something, what are you actually doing? Multiplying it by itself. So you're not just squaring 15 and squaring 2x. You have to multiply 15 minus 2x by 15 minus 2x. All right, guys. Organize this. We close to the end of class. I wanted to finish this for sure. Oh, but to answer, okay, no, not okay. You probably may not see a question like this on your on the exam. Probably, right? I have noticed that if there was a hard question or a question people got wrong, then like the next year you wouldn't see a question like that. These are the same style. They might make it easier, right? I've noticed that more in PUA than maths per se, but I believe the maths might be the same as well. But usually, you might find the hard questions people have trouble with appearing more in math and PUA, but sorry, PUA and maths. That might just be my bias. 2x. Right. 15 by 15 is 225. 15 by minus 2x is minus 30x. Minus 2x by 15 is also minus 30x. But minus 2x by minus 2x is plus 4x squared. Let's pull the 4x squared to the front. Minus 30x is minus 60x. And then you have 225. Bring it here. And the last thing we have to do is bring across the 3x squared. Of course, it's on this side is positive. So to move it across, you have to subtract it from both sides. So we're going to subtract 3x squared from both sides. Subtracting it from the left side leaves us with 0 on that side. Subtracting it from the 4x squared on the right-hand side leaves us with just plain old x squared. All right, so that way we get the expression they asked us to get. Right, now we're almost out of time. But the next piece that they want us to do is to solve it using the quadratic formula. The whole question is 9 marks. Yeah, the whole question is 9 marks. So don't forget your quadratic formula is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, your man Elijah, you're going later. A is the coefficient of the x squared term. So when no coefficient is explicit, we subtracted 3x squared from both sides. Sorry. Oh, we multiplied 3x by x. We find the area of the rectangle. The length was 3x, the width was x. So 3x by x was 3x squared. All right. Right, so A is equal to 1, B is equal to minus 60, and C is equal to 225. So minus 60 plus or minus the square root of, right, so minus 60 squared minus 4 by 1 by 225 all over 2 by 1. Okay, minus 60 becomes plus 60. Minus 60 squared becomes 3600. Minus 4 by 1 is minus 4, but then by 225, I think is 900. Two hours. Payment Jai later. All right, Michael. Payment James later. All good. How that one went? Oh, okay. No, those older papers. Uh-huh. That's why. Yes. Okay, I understand. All right. Yeah, I have 10 to 8:30 tomorrow. Oh yeah, exam is Friday. So this, hey, others and balance for April.
Yeah.
So yeah. Next week? Thursday supposed to be some phone call, but 4 to 6. But yeah. Yeah, the only person in our class is you, except Tuesday 4 to 6 nights or something. Yeah. Yeah. One, okay. Okay. All right, cool. Well, you see how it go. Right. I suggest you plug this into your calculator and just use the positive value. Root of 2700 will be like 50 something, because 50 squared is 2500, right? 2700 square root is almost 52. So here's what to do. The easiest thing is to round up to 52, eh? And maybe we could actually minus it. That might be the better thing to do. Because if you add it, you're gonna get 100. Actually, yeah, let me see. Yeah, that's called surd form. You don't have to put that. Don't worry about that. Right. So you're either gonna get 60 plus. No, I'm rounding off here. 60 plus 52 is 112. 112 is 56. I think 56 is a bit big for x. Right? Alternatively, if we did 60 minus 52, you get 8, and 8 over 2 is 4. 4 might be a better value for x. What do you all think? Yeah. Well, okay, so check it, right? If we look here and you plug 52 there, 56 there, that's gonna make sense, right? But if you plug 4, 2 by 4 is 8, 50 minus 8 is 7. And 7 makes sense, yeah? All right. Going to use the formula and the factor because the preposition was. But use one, guys. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. All right. Prodigy. What I would say is if the numbers are smallish, right? Like here we have 225 and 60. That's not really smallish. I mean, you can factor it if you want, but you wouldn't get through because the factors were not whole numbers, they weren't integers, right? So what I would say is look for the numbers like in the previous one, we had like an x squared minus 2x minus a 35. That one easy, right? So say factorization for easy numbers and say the formula for the slightly bigger numbers, right? Yeah, right. And then the last part of the question was calculate the total area of the seedbeds. right? So the total area, notice by the way, the answer is not actually equal to 4 because if you plug 4 inside of here, 4 squared is 16. 16 by 3 is 48. But here, oh, sorry, wait. What's why? So yeah, 2 by 4 is 8, 50 minus 7. And 7 squared is 49. So the answer is not actually 4. So you're probably better off using 2 decimal places. It'll give you a closer, a better level of accuracy. I just used 4 because it was simpler to work with. Sorry, yeah. Right, folks, we are at 8:32 there. So this is our last official maths class before exam season. As we mentioned, yeah, no, wait, yeah. Right? Now, the next time we have maths class is Tuesday. Now, for those who are not doing POA, if you want to come from 1 o'clock or 10 o'clock to start the rango, let me know. If you want to wait till the others come for in the evening, cool, right? Because they have POA in the morning from 9 to 12. POA is one of the longest exams. So I'm not expecting them to come for 1. If, however, the POA people want to come for 1, let me know. Yeah, you could, right? So, folks, as of midnight tonight, you're officially in exam season. Eh? Do not panic. Do not panic. Yeah. Do not panic. Right. Anyhow, Google Meet. I'll go on there. But again, before you go, just remember, we have class next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Right? So those who are not doing POA, if you want to come early in the day, 10 to 12 and 1 to 3, cool. Those who have POA, I know you finish in 12, but the exam may be long and tiring, so I can't expect it to come for 1. If, however, you want to come for 1, I will be here, right? So we'll have all day Wednesday, all day Thursday. You don't have to come to all sessions. And if you have EDPM or French or TD, it should be, all right, bye-bye. Please feel free to do that instead of maths, eh? But please, you have maths Friday. So if you at least come Pisa Tuesday, right? If you don't have any other exams, right? But yeah. Oh, no, we break for lunch, 12 to 1. We break from 3 to 4, and then we break from 6 to half 6. So you have 2.5 hours total breaks. Again, exam season now started. I'm not trying to burn all out now. Or myself. I already running on fumes. All right, Google Meet, I'll go on there. That's fine. Yeah, if you want to come for just 2 in the evening, that's cool. Like I said, if you have other stuff to study for, by all means, please do that. Yeah? No problem. Right? That's cool. Right. Cape crash courses. The Cape accounts crash course finishes tomorrow. It's just 2 sessions I have to do. Just doing some question ones. Right? Lobster here. Even if you have an email me. If you're on Instagram, DM me, tell me it's Lobster. Let me see if I can hook you up now. I can't promise, but let me see if I can try and organize something. All right, ladies. Reach home safe. All right. Hope to see you all here next week. All right, Harry. Okay.